Hello, my name is Brett Banks, and I am the host of the newly founded Progressive Citizen Report. Today on the first ever program, we have Nick Allen as our guest. Today we will discuss Gamergate, misogyny, Muslim targeting, and ISIS. Stay tuned. First, we're going to discuss Gamergate. What all have you heard about Gamergate, Nick?
I haven't heard very much, just pretty much that it's a bunch of guys on the internet who are very sexist towards women and just kind of angry at the world.
Yeah, that sums it up. What we're going to discuss here is a recent analysis by Newsweek where they found that Twitter users tweeting the hashtag Gamergate direct negative tweets at critics of the gaming world more than they do at the journalists whose coverage they supposedly want scrutinized. Which, in my opinion, sums up that whole issue in 30 seconds because they constantly hound, oh, it's, journalist ethics. It's, has nothing to do with women. It's the fact that feminists are attacking our no censorship internet because they want equality, basically. And there are lots of women. In fact, one of the people being scrutinized, I don't remember her name, so harshly and being doxxed or de-doxxed, whatever it is, she said that they don't actually want, the stereotypical big-breasted women out of the game. They just want an alternative as was created in the movie industry, to the big-breasted women. They want powerful women. I mean, they're about the most powerful woman you think of when you think of superheroes and stuff like that. They're always dressed up super tight. But Wonder Woman, she represents women, I guess, in feminism, but just as a whole, that movement has just been lost in, as Newsweek said, in hate for these women. So what do you think about it?
Lost in hate for these women. So pretty much you're saying that women are upset for obvious reasons that that female characters in games and other situations are portrayed as just these sex symbols, and they're saying, we need more strong female characters rather than just how they look. And so a lot of guys are getting upset about it?
Right, well, they think it's, an infringement on their rights to say or do whatever they want, and that the internet is their last bastion of free speech, where they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, but really that has nothing to do with the issue that they say is their, prime issue. And here's another thing on that is, if you look into, it's not just gaming, okay, that has, no journalistic integrity in a lot of places. A couple of the so-called Gamergaters are pointing out other news outlets, but the majority are just attacking these women, and you have places like the movies, you have places like music industry, where in the movie industry you can get free screenings to a movie. In the music industry you can get an album early, and in the gaming industry you have where you can get the game early. It's all the same thing, but all they're doing is attacking, 4 women like Zoe Quinn, who the article that that gave her game a good review was not even written by the guy her basically whiny ex-boyfriend wrote. I'm completely lost in their issue. And I feel like maybe, they had a point when it came to journalistic integrity. That's when I first came in. I was like, this is a legitimate issue. We have a break, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we're back, and we're going to continue our discussion. Where I was at is, once you look into the cause, and even really, if you accept the base of the cause, it's not only prevalent in the gaming industry. So, to close it off like that, and to say that it is only in gaming, or to say that that Gamergate is only about gaming journalistic ethics, is ignorant, because one, they've proven, as this study showed, that they attack more people who have nothing to do with Gamergate. The journalists who are bad, it's actually people who talk bad about gamers. And also because there is no issue when it comes to just being a gaming problem. Okay, so it's a more broad problem. Now, I'm not going to say that journalistic ethics isn't a bad thing, that it isn't needed. Of course you should have some ethics, but it's not just in gaming. And if you want to go, to a movie, you don't look at, usually, the critic reviews. I myself look into the fan reviews, because the critics, you never know if they were paid or not. So I use crowdsourced information, such as Yelp for a restaurant, because the people, they generally have no reason to lie. Now, I know some businesses will post on there or pay someone to do it, but for a general rule, there is no, there is a problem, but it's not a problem that can't be addressed differently. Attacking women, I don't see the point. Attacking people, I don't see the point. And I myself follow plenty of liberals on Twitter who talk bad about Gamergate, and depending on their gender, they get more harsh treatment for doing so. So, a male who talks bad about it, of course they're going to get hate, but a woman that talks about it is going to be outrageously harassed, to a whole nother level. It comes down to, I don't understand the premise of it starting, because, who believes, an ex-boyfriend that just goes on a rant, a whiny rant at that, about how she left him. And then everyone, I myself, when I read that, I was like, oh, he's actually just a whiny person. Does anyone, why could anyone else think any other way about this? But that's their whole rallying point, is the Zoe Quinn, quote unquote Quinn-spiracy that they have going on there. And it just, the threats to Anita Sarkeesian is just insane, that she could not go. I believe it was her, that she could not even go to her event. Now, why? What do they get done in threatening people?
I don't know. That is how history has been. You try to express your opinion in a public manner, and all of a sudden your life is being threatened by somebody who is completely on the opposite side of it. It's ridiculous that we, allow ourselves to get pushed to that point of literally
But I
threatening
mean,
someone's life.
yeah, I understand that, and that is a terrible thing that people get death threats. But I mean, these are especially horrible. Like doxing, it is just purely misogynistic woman hatred.
Hmm.
That is driving this core, fundamental, issue. And here's also the thing: is that her sexual life should have never been exposed. And then to second that, it shouldn't matter. Um, the article was not even written by their initial complaint. The supposed scandal was not even written by the person she supposedly had sex with for the review. It's just insane that they're still rallying around this hashtag, this
Hmm.
supposed scandal, when all of it turned out not to be true.
I don't know. People gotta be mad about something, and for some reason, women are just the worst creations in the history of man. I don't know why people believe this. We gotta attack them whenever they attempt to have uh, an opinion about almost anything. It's taken so long in the course of history for women to be able to express their opinions, and I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It's especially bad. Newsweek also wrote that the FBI has reached out to the development community to discuss solutions for online harassment, which I just can't even believe has to go to that level. But anyway, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and discuss Gamergate one more time. Then we're going to move on to other issues. Thanks, guys, for watching. And we're back. We are going to continue the discussion on Gamergate. What we're going to go over now is kind of a regurgitation of what I said earlier. But the fact of the matter is that this Newsweek study showed that there are more negative tweets directed at critics of the gaming world more than at the journalists whose coverage they supposedly want scrutinized. That is from the Newsweek. Also, an interesting thing to point out is that if it were about ethics, you would think that one would care more about the journalistic ethics. And at that, every person, it's their argument is so ironic because what they're saying is they want freedom of speech on the internet, but whenever someone else exercises their freedom of speech in writing these articles that say negative things about gamers, they go completely insane and they dox them. They do illegal things to harass these people into not speaking. Now, what I want to say is, how is that freedom of speech? You know?
They want freedom of speech as long as they can regulate it.
Yeah, they want
Is what they
freedom of.
want.
It's essentially. I heard a good analogy on the Majority Report that I feel maybe is not. Well, I will rephrase it. It's not good, but I understand the similarities here. It's the KKK. You know, what they did is they only want rights for a certain group of people. Now, when it comes to giving rights to other people that say bad things about them, as it is with the white people, the black people, from the KKK to the black people, is that they harass them, burning the cross. They, they do kill them, which, thank God, no one has been killed in this, stupid internet thing. But there have been threats to kill people, such as the one where the woman was not able to attend an event. I believe it was Anita Sarkeesian. I'm not sure. But, I mean, I just can't understand how that is even possible in our day and age to claim something so ironic to your own argument. I mean, I guess I can understand it because the Tea Party exists, but really is that this is just a quest of pure ignorance brought on by a couple of people or one guy actually, who was angry at an ex and sparked, I hope he feels bad for what he's done because of all these people that are being harassed over, his stupid rant online, on his blog of all things. Like, what kind of source is he if he's an angry ex writing on his blog? I mean, what world do we live in if we trust just his word of mouth? No source information. And even when given the information, they say, oh, well, this is a movement for journalistic integrity. Well, then why are we still attacking? They're still attacking Zoe Quinn. It makes no sense.
Well, if you sound convincing enough in what you're saying, you can get people to do almost anything. That's happened all throughout history, with Hitler. You can get, with Hitler and countless other people, you can get people to do almost anything and believe almost anything as long as you sound convincing enough and if you push it into their head and into their lives enough. Because that's how a lot of the kids I go to school with are telling me, oh, I don't think gay people should get married, and I don't think these people should have rights, and we need to do this and this and this, and I don't believe that that's their actual opinion because they've been raised in a conservative environment and they haven't had a chance to get out on their own and see what the world's like and interact with different kinds of people because they're just growing up in a small town. And, I'm fortunate enough to have met you, Brett, and been brought into the world, the world with a liberal idea because I was raised extremely conservatively.
Yeah, it's all about, not many people, once they really understand, and not very many people that don't try to understand the world, end up understanding it. And see, if you have an understanding of the world, if you just look at things, all that conservative and this weird, I don't know if this is associated with libertarians. I know the internet tries to be libertarian. I assume a lot of these people are. They look at things without a magnifying glass. They don't ever read the fine print. If you make enough print bold, if you make the print at the top bold enough, no one will read the paragraph below. So I mean, recently they found these old weapons of mass destruction that, with a twist, came from us in Iraq, I believe, was where they found them. And the thing on that is, those, many people in Fox and such are claiming, oh, this is us finding weapons of mass destruction. Well, weapons of mass destruction that don't work, I believe they said they were all decommissioned. And also that we had given them to them. So they weren't weapons of mass destruction that were created for the purpose of hurting us. In fact, we created them and gave them, and then they were decommissioned. So many people are not reading the fine or the actual article. They're just reading the headline: "Weapons of mass destruction found in Iraq." And that's just how that ideology works. Is if the print at the top is bold enough, like Ebola, you can get people scared. And if you can get people scared, you can empower them. That is the biggest... 9/11 is a terrible thing that happened. But the biggest downfall, or the biggest manipulation of 9/11 is this fear we always have, and that they can easily maneuver to make a picture they want. And that's another thing we're going to go into, is the treatment of Muslims in America. Now, I'm not sure if you know of the recent gun range owner who came out and said that no Muslims were allowed in her gun range. Do you know that?
Yeah, I heard about that a few days ago.
The deal on this is that this is a strict, just that, all you have to say is Muslims aren't allowed, and that's automatically in violation of people's rights. Okay? So, I haven't followed up on the story. I don't know if they were shut down over it, or if there was a big outcry over it. But what I do know is that there should be, and I'm sure there will be. It's just insane that we have people who, because of a fear built upon hatred and misunderstanding, that we create this environment where we blame, every terrible thing on Muslims. And I'm not sure how we can say, oh, Muslims are horrible. Muslims are horrible, horrible, horrible. When, we can associate everything that a terrorist, an actual terrorist group does with Muslims, when we can't, when it's considered anti-Semitic to say that Israel is not a Jewish state. Because they proclaim themselves to be a Jewish state. So to say that they are all Jewish, every person in there is just wrong, because there are many Palestinians that live inside of Israel. I'm just very confused with the way this whole thing is going down. I understand that what needs to happen is some kind of informational... I don't even know if that would help if we spread the word on acceptance and tolerance. I'm very confused as to if that would even get through to them, because they are so dead set on their political ideologies.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like the media, whenever they're reporting on ISIS and any kind of terror attack that happens, it's immediately, oh, this is, over my, I can't watch CNN anymore. My TV's messing up, so now I gotta watch Fox News. But it's always, every last event that happens, that attack in New York City with that guy with the hatchet that attacked the police officers, it's immediately, oh, Islamic terror. Islamic terror. It's Islamic terror. It's the Muslims that are doing it. They're trying to kill us all. I was in school the other day, and this kid told me, he said, oh, the fastest growing religion is Islam. And I was like, yes, it is. He said, doesn't that scare you? I was like, why would that scare me? I don't understand what is there to be afraid of? It's not, anybody who is a terrorist, and that's such a broad word, you can use that for anything, that can be applied to anyone if you word it correctly. But it's all...
yeah, whoever decides on what the definition of terror is, that's who gets to tell who's a terrorist or not.
It just always, if you say terrorist to somebody, it goes straight to Islam. It goes straight to, that area of the world, the Middle East. They're all terrorists over there. And I was showing my friend at school the other day on a map the territory that ISIS is mainly in, and they all say the same thing whenever I'm talking to people about this. Why don't we just nuke that whole area? Let's just nuke it all. And I say, well, that would be a bit of genocide, a bit of murder of tons and tons of innocent people if we just started bombing every part of the world that we considered to be a troubled area. We can't just start destroying everything. We're not going to make many friends doing that.
Well, here's what I like to talk about whenever someone says, well, ISIS is beheading our people. We have, an ally. In the region, Saudi Arabia, and they execute people all the time. I mean, I believe they beheaded someone. Yes, they beheaded someone in August of this year. Do you know what they executed them for?
No.
Sorcery. Now, if we can say we want to declare war on a militant group, which actually you can't declare war on a militant group until they've actually, become a state. Now, I believe, ISIS has reached this point, but they're not officially recognized as one, so there's no such thing as declaring war on them. But the way we are doing this is so completely wrong. I mean, these drone strikes that you can kill. There have already been reports of civilian deaths in these just couple of months that our, supposedly liberal president has been engaging in. And, the media is at fault here because it's horrible. I'm so sorry for the families of the people that got executed, and for the person, obviously. But here is the thing, is that the media doesn't cover when a Saudi Arabian gets executed. There may be a snippet here or there, but not really. and places like Iran. They, we supposedly, hate them. They haven't, all the hate mongers would, ring their bells to say they've got nuclear weapons when, they do terrible things to their people, but they don't have a super strictly enforced beheading policy. Now, they do behead people, but the thing is, they don't... Actually, I'm not sure if they behead people. Now, I know they do have capital punishment, but here's the thing, is that it doesn't matter how you kill someone, you're killing someone. But lastly, I want to throw in here is that the great state of Texas, where we live, executes people too. So, killing, whether it's by beheading, hanging, lethal injection, is still killing. Now, maybe their last moments are a little bit less painful this way or that, but they're still dying. So, I'm not going to deny that ISIS may be a threat, not to us in this vicinity, but to our allies, possibly. I mean, they're already attacking Kurdish forces. They could possibly be moving in on Turkey, I don't know. But what I do know is that there is no immediate threat, especially not from the borders of Texas and Arizona, all our southern border, where the supposed illegal Muslims are coming in, the ISIS members. There has not been one report of this, but it's constantly thrown out there. And then on Ebola, many experts now are saying that it can't even be transferred through sweat, but that it can be through spit. But the thing is that you don't have to worry about a cough. Not through spit, but through a cough, because it'll be in the lungs. But the experts are saying is that once it's in the lungs, the person is so weak and near dead that they don't have the energy nor ability to get out of bed to go and spread it. And this recent infection in New York, the guy was a volunteer in Africa. I believe he was with Doctors with No Borders. I'm not sure. But
yeah, he was. As
soon as he came here, he monitored himself, and as soon as his fever hit 100.3, not 103, 100.3, he called the health services, said he had Ebola, and there are only, I believe, 2 people that are possibly that have been exposed that could possibly have it by him. But an argument that I would argue to make is that there are no immediate threats by Ebola. We are in a country where there is flu, and 5,000 people, I believe it was, will die by the end of the year because they didn't get their flu shot. So
600,000 people die in America a year from heart disease.
Yeah, and these minor issues, if it were so infectious, the swine flu is very infectious. It didn't kill very many people. It killed, some, not many Americans, but it spread quickly because it was actually able to spread. It had the means to do so. Which now the official name is H1N1. But at the time it was swine flu. And Ebola has been around much longer than H1N1. And the recent outbreak took months for even one person on American soil to get infected. And also, there have been no infected people that were not healthcare workers as of yet. The guy who flew in here obviously was not, but to be infected in America, there have been no non-healthcare workers. So it's such a minimal threat to focus on. And I know we're focusing on it now, but I just want to spread the truth on the matter because there's a lot of misinformation. You know, they're trying to scare people into saying, well, it could evolve. Okay, well, so could the flu. It could evolve. So could the flu does evolve. You know, they get new strands every year, and that's why you have to get a flu shot every year because it keeps changing. But it hasn't drastically changed. Not like Ebola. It's not like Ebola has drastically changed either. There have been different strands, but none that are airborne, none that are especially infectious. I mean, it's just insane.
That's something, that's something that I hear almost daily in my school from students and teachers. I hear this from teachers, adult human beings, telling me, they always talk about it. They're always like, oh, I was watching the news and I heard that Ebola's airborne now. Ebola's airborne. Guys, everyone, Ebola's airborne. We're all screwed. And they're telling me, oh, some guy in Lubbock has Ebola, and some guy in Dallas has Ebola now, and everybody all around us is getting Ebola, and it's just, oh my god, it angers me. It angers me. I want to get mad at the people, but I can't because it's the news. It's the media. They always have to have something to make the people scared, because human beings want to be scared. We have to have something to be afraid of, and the media is more than happy to provide it. They turn little things. My English teacher told me, he said, when you're watching the news, just try to remember, nothing's ever as good as it seems, and nothing's ever as bad as it seems. And this whole Ebola situation is a prime example of it. A prime example of it.
Right, and another issue is the upcoming midterms. So I was wanting your opinion. Do you think that Republicans will take control of the Senate, or that Democrats will retain control of the Senate?
I believe that Republicans will take control of the Senate.
That's interesting.
Because with everything that has been going on in the media, it's actually happened. They've showed that even well-known Democratic senators and a bunch of well-known Democrats have been speaking out against Obama's decisions with how to handle ISIS and Ebola, and they're all just shutting him down.
Yes, no one agrees. Both parties, that's about the only bipartisan issue agreement really that we have, is that Obama, no one likes Obama.
We all don't like what Obama's doing.
Yes.
But no, yeah, I think that Republicans will, because that's these past few presidents that we've had, this has been like one of the only times in history that we've been jumping back and forth between Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democratic presidents, because it's just crazy that we can't have a solid deal. And I believe that we're going to have a Republican-held Senate, because it's just like with what happened with Bush. Everybody jumped real strongly over to the Democratic side of it to see what that could bring. And with Obama, everybody's just been going crazy, and they're saying, oh, if even members of his own party are speaking out against him now, we should just go Republican. They could definitely handle the situation better, and it's ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
like,
and well,
come on.
here's the reason I think the Democrats will retain control. Many of the races, surprisingly, are within the margin of error. And there's an independent who is probably going to get elected. You know, he's within the margin of error.
Mhm.
I am certainly hoping, and many of these candidates are finally using logic to get their voters. You know, all you have to do, really, you know, I can't really speak that much I've never been a campaign manager, but what I can say is that what gets the voters rallied is Medicaid and Medicare. Now, I don't know much about, you know, Medicaid gets the left, the base going. Medicare and Social Security are obvious things that everyone supports. So with those three, you've got your base, and then you've got everyone supporting you, and you just take that and you rally the people, and they'll vote for you because what can the Republican say? I mean, I guess he can say he supports it, but if you show their voting history, most likely, you know, their Senate, if they've been in the Senate voting history, they voted against bills to raise Social Security, or they voted against bills for equal pay for women. I mean, just stuff like that. If they would just appeal to the morals of people, all it takes, because really the liberal progressive ideology is just one of morals. One of morals unbiased, and one of freedom that is unbiased. So, we're going to wrap it up here, but comment if you guys have any questions. On the next show, it'll just be me, and we will be discussing a couple different topics, and at the end of the show, we'll do a comment thread hour, or however long it takes to get all the questions done. And that's all for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for being a guest.
Thanks, it was fun. Getting all these topics out of the way.